Many of you wanted to have API in Webhook in Quickzu stores. This tutorial is basically to let you understand how Quickzu Webhook works with workflow automation tools. Let's understand what we can do with this webhook and API. I have chosen pabbly for workflow automation since it's easy to use and it supports a lot of applications. Even the Indian applications like payment providers like Razorpay, Instamojo, etc. So let's go ahead and learn how we can do multiple workflow automation using Quickzu. For example, if you want to get order details in your Google Sheet, whenever a new order is created and you get the order in WhatsApp, in the same time you want those order to be in your Google Sheet also. That you can do with this workflow automation. If you want to create a payment link of those orders, you can do it through this workflow automation. Even you can send those payment link to your customer through SMS APIs, or if you have an official WhatsApp API, you can use that to send back the links to the customer with the payment links. So that those kind of automation I will show in this video. I will be telling you how to set up your webhook with Pabbly Connect and how you can write your into the Google Sheet. And in the same way, whenever you update an order through your live order view, that will be also updated to Google Sheet. Your dashboard, go to settings, go to API and webhook. Here you have an option to enter a webhook URL. Those who don't understand webhook, webhook is a very simple technique, you can say, where you send all the data from your site to another site. Okay. So if any new order is being created at Quickzu, those information will be passed through webhook URL. So if any site want those information, you can ask those site to provide you webhook URL and you can pass all the latest order information to that site through webhook. Then we have APIs which is being used for very different purpose where you can create new categories, create new products, or you can manage orders and you can do a lot of different things. The API documentation will be up soon. Right now, let's focus on webhook and how you can use the webhook. To use the webhook with Pabbly, you can go to pabbly.com, connect.pabbly.com. They provide you 100 free tasks. This is my account where I have logged in. And here, what you need to do is click on Create Workflow. Now, I will give it a name. It will be Demo Webhook Quickzu, right? Now, when you create a workflow, you have two options. One is trigger, one is action. Trigger means when this happens, you have to do something. That is the action, right? So, in Quickzu, what we need to do is first we need to check when new order happens, write that to Google Sheet. That's our workflow, right? It's look very simple and let's do it. So first thing is click here. Now from where we get the order details. Since we don't have an app listed here, so we will just use the webhook which is being provided by Pabbly. Now copy this webhook URL, go to seller section, go to API and webhook, click here. Now you have to click on save, but before that, you can see it's waiting for webhook response. So I will just click on save. And you can see once our webhook is submitted here, you will see a response test is equal to OK. Now what you need to do is, since we have got this response because our webhook was saved, but we need to get the other response as well as, right? Where we can check what we are getting from orders. So to get that, we will click on recapture webhook response, click on yes, and it will again wait for the webhook response, right? Now open your seller site, which is this one. Click on orders, just create some orders. So this is done. I will just write something here. Okay, Raju, my address. Yeah, anything like that. Okay. And once you click on order on WhatsApp, a order would be created, right? It will go to the WhatsApp. Now, if you go here, you will see we have got a new webhook response, right? Where we see the first label is operation and the value is create. So when you get a new order, that operation is create, right? Order is being created. Now we have the order ID. The status of that order is pending, right? So which you can see it here also. When you go to live order, this is the pending order, right? It's we can move it to accepted and done. So we can change the status. We have the payload ID, then we have the order details, then we have the name of the person, and different details. So here we have the customer full name, customer phone number, customer address. And now we have created a Google Sheet with the name store, which has two sheet, and we have written this down: operation, payload ID, order ID, full name, phone number, status, and total amount. Payload ID is unique to all orders. Operation defined it was created new or it was updated. Order ID is unique for all orders. Full name, phone number, status, and then the total amount for that order. Now we want an action to do. Now since in Webhook we have two kind of response. One is either order is being created or either order is being updated. So for example, I just someone ordered something, it will be under created. But when you move this order to here, the response will be changed and it will not get you all the details that it will update the order from create to update with the payload ID. Okay, so it means if I update this order, I will again get a webhook response, but I won't get all the values again. I will just get operation is equal to update and with same payload ID. Okay, so right now what we need to do is we have to filter out this thing. We have to make two root. If order is created, then edit here. If order is updated, then just update this status section. Okay, so let's do it. Click on action, just click on router. Then you have two root. Let's go to set the filter. Select the webhook response, which is operation is equal to create. So if new orders comes up, this root one will be followed. Let's test this one. Success. Because operation is equal to create is correct, right? Now what we want to do, if operation is correct, then let's select and we want to go to Google Sheet and we want to append those values to our Google Sheet. Okay, click on connect. So either you can connect a new account, your Google account, or either you can, if you have already connected, you can just use that. So I have already connected. So I will use that connection. I will click on save. So you can see here are multiple Google form available, Google Sheet available at my ID. So I will just select the sheet store and I will select the sheet one. Okay. Now I need to map the data which I want to append here in the row, right? All this data, I need to map it out. So to map that, I will just click like this. I will just first I will just click here and I will map that response, which is my first response is related to operation, sorry. So it will be operation. The second response would be payload ID, then it would be order ID, then it would be full name, then phone number and status. So let's do this. So I will search for payload ID. Yes. So this all data would be right there. So let's click and test this one. I think this is done. Let's go to sheet and here we have got the value. That means our flow is working very correctly. We can just click on save and we'll click on done. So our route 1 is done. So now whenever this workflow will be created, whenever a new order will be created, we will it will be write it down to our Excel sheet. Let's try this out. Just click on and I think it's on already. Let's do this. Let's go to my sheet and we can see instantly it has been written here with the status pending, right? Now, whenever you get the idle right, you just move it to here and here for the fulfillment, right? Now this route 1 is here. I will add route 2 where I will define what I have to do when we change the status of any order, right? And we want to write it down here. So if any order is on pending, we want to be accepted or done. In that condition, what we want to do is very simple. Click on add route. Route 2 is added. Again, go to the filter and action. And here you need to define what would be the operation is equal to. About that, let's recapture our webhook response. Let's see what happens when we change the order, right? So let's recapture it again. Great. Now this is my order, right? So I will just click on accept it. And you can see we got a new response. Now in the new response, if you see, we only have the operation, resource, payload ID, and payload data status. So this is the payload ID and this is the status, right? So what we want is we just want to change this particular column values, right? In this row, in this column only we want to change this from pending to accepted. It has not been done here. So in this case, what we need to do is we now just go to route 2. Let's go here. And now here in operation, it should be equal to update. If operation is equal to update, then only it should move ahead and do the things, right? So condition is true. Now what we need to do is we need to look up into this sheet and find out about this particular payload ID. Okay, so let's go to Google Sheet and here lookup spreadsheet. Use this, connect, great. I will select the sheet. Sheet ID is 1 and we need to look up for a column. Okay, so now our column is column B where we have to look up for the payload ID because that is a unique. So I will just select column B and the lookup value would be payload ID. Great. So we have selected the column, we have selected the payload value or lookup value. We will just click here. Once we click here, it will fetch us all the details related to that particular row. You can see we got the name, we got the number, we got the order ID, total amount, everything based on this payload ID, based on this column, we can filter out all the things, right? So next step would be to update for this particular column and this particular cell ID. We want to update this status, right? So to do that, we have to again go to the next action, and that would be again Google Sheet, and we will use update cell value. Now in the update cell value, now in the range, so we want to update this F value, right? And then we have to give the value for it. Since we want to do it dynamically, we will just click on app, okay? And then we will select this. So just go to Google Sheet and go to this one, row index 3. Just select the last row index. So what it will do is very simple. It will go to the range F, it will look for the column F. In the column F, it will look for the row. And to get the row, we have just selected the row index. So that means whatever payload ID it will be, it will find that row, okay, based on the payload ID. So we have got store name, sheet name, we have selected the range, and we have got this one. Okay, now we have selected this row. Now, what value we want to be updated here? That value would be to change from webhook. So we want to update this payload data status, right? So we just want to update this value into this particular column and this particular row and cell ID, right? So we got the cell ID, we got the values to be updated. Let's test this one. So once you click on save and test request, you will see the request has been fulfilled. And now when you go to the sheet, it has been accepted. Great. So let's click on save and our workflow is created. So I will just take it to the done, and let's go here, and you can see it will be done. Yeah, that's fine. So this is how you can do the pabbly workflow, where you can also create the payment link. In the next video, I will take you how you can create the payment link, or how you can do other multiple things out of it. So just go ahead, guys, and create your workflow. Not just pabbly, you can use any workflow automation tool, and you would be doing a lot of automation out of Quickzu. Thanks.